Dude, Criswell brought back Speedway in 1968 to the Whiteman Stadium, Pacoima, California. It was the revival of modern-day Speedway. It was a blast from the past, brought back up some flat trackers. However, in 1969, it was the summer of 69. It was the summer of 69. Yeah, Brian Adams. But this is Speedway was brought back to the Costa Mesa's Fairgrounds in Costa Mesa, California. And it was just amazing. Star TT riders came out to Costa Mesa, as well as new riders. And there was just a flock of Speedway talent. The crowds were up and close in this 1/8 mile Speedway track promoted by Harry Oxley and Jack Milne. Harry Oxley is the godfather of Speedway. Harry ran the daily operations of Costa Mesa Speedway. He worked hard with his wife, Marilyn. Rest in peace, Marilyn. She was a wonderful lady. Harry was just all over the Speedway stars. He's a fantastic promoter. He left the Costa Mesa Speedway to his beloved son, two-time national champion, Brad Oxley. Brad's dad is comfortably retired in Mexico, comes out the Speedway with Harry I. Clanton. He enjoys the Speedway. Harry Oxley. Harry's partner and boss is Jack Milne. He was a 1937 world champion. Jack promoted Speedway in the early days, and he knowledgeable about Speedway when he was at the Whiteman Stadium. He saw that Speedway needs to be close and personal. That's why they got the Costa Mesa Speedway, and it became a raging success. Jack Milne was a quiet man. He had a brother, Courtney, and they just were a Speedway team back in the 30s. He was just an amazing rider, and he was a great man. This dynamic duo, they teamed up to create one of the most successful Speedway tracks in American history. They had national championships. Thousands of people came out to watch the Speedway. He promoted the Coliseum, and Rick Woods and Michael Bass were the stars. Michael won 7 of 10 United States championships, and they had amazing success. They had lots of sponsors. Toka Oil was one of them. Castor Oil. Who could forget the smell? And the Speedway van of the 70s. They had lots of contingencies, lots of money in Speedway, lots of promoters. Brigo, he sold stuff. You had the Flanders. You had lots of people. You had select vans all putting money into Speedway. The Grant Boys, Digger Helm, and the Bakersfield Bandits. And he was a famous TT star. Digger was a rider, and he was a promoter. He promoted the Bakersfield Bandits, the winning Bakersfield Bandits of the National Speedway League. He was a great promoter. He had a great team. He had all these great riders. Doug Farrell, Sexy Jeff Sexton. He had Bert Harkins. He had Brian Shorts. He had Steve Nutter. Jim Gresham down to me. He had Dave Galvin. Farrell was third place in points. And here's Bert Harkins. Bert was a rider. It was Digger Helm who made it all possible at Bakersfield. He was riding with Mike Bass, doing tricks. Digger Helm sadly passed away a few years ago. Speedway honored the memory of Digger Helm. Rest in peace, Digger Helm. Irwindale Speedway was one of the great speedways of all time, with Steve Evans promoting and a few other promoters. They built a great speedway track, a nice long speedway track that was fast. The riders loved the Irwindale Speedway. It had a lot of good officials. Irwindale Sprockets of the National Speedway League. And they had an amazing team. They had Steve Colombo. They had Michael Bass. And they had Juicy Brucey Penhall, who learned a lot from Mike Bass. He became a star rider, a world champion from Michael Bass's tutoring. And there is Juicy Brucey turning it on the outside. There's Gene Woods, the brother of Rick Woods. And they had Steve Colombo on that team. Rob Morrison was a hot shoe. Just an amazing team. On Tuesday night, we had the Ventura Speedway with Harry Oxley, Jack Milne promoting that again. Harry was into everything in those days. And they had an amazing track over at Ventura. And they had an amazing Speedway team. They had the late, great Danny Berserko Becker on that team. They had Sliding Sonny Nutter. He was an amazing rider. Sonny Nutter was a star rider amongst the stars. He was just a gifted rider. And then they had the Boogaloo Man. That's Bobby Schwartz. Bobby was a star rider. And they had Scott Sivich. Scott was a solid rider. Dave Sims. Dave Sims was a good rider. They had Radical Randy Marsh. On Wednesday nights, we had the IMS, Stan Berdue. We had Mr. De La Serre was a promoter of that track. They had lots of people going out to that speedway. It was a raging success. IMS was a favorite of a lot of speedway riders because it had a deep cushion. They had California State Championships. They had lots of very big events over there at IMS. There's Mike Faria. In his early days, IMS was the place for Speedway. And who could forget the San Bernardino Sizzlers, the Steakhouses, Big Jim Fishbeck. He was the captain. And there's Rad Brad Oxley. Do you remember the Santa Ana Bowl? Located in central Orange County, California. It was an amazing track. They had some really good racers. It was a long track.
Today we're going to talk about the Santa Ana Bowl Speedway. Do you know what about the Santa Ana Bowl? Did you remember that racetrack? It was really cool. The Santa Ana Bowl was located in Santa Ana, California. It was promoted by Louis Kossuth. Do you remember Louis Kossuth? He owned a 76 gas station over in Brea off of Imperial Highway. I met Louis there a few times. He was a nice man, Louis Kossuth. So it was around a football stadium. It was one of the first long tracks in California. And Louis asked me, hey, Brian, do you want to ride on my new track? And I said, why not? I never rode around a football stadium. So I went ahead and said, sign me up, Louis. I want to ride that track. It was located right below the Orange County Jail by the Civic Center where all the courthouses are. And I thought that would be cool. I look up and all the prisoners at the jail were watching the speedway. So I said, I must do good for them.
Otay Mesa was one of the speedway tracks on Saturday nights. There's Larry Costa, and it was just an amazing little Division I, Division II speedway track. They had King of the Hill match race championships. There's me with Larry and me with Kevin McDonald. We had this amazing arch rivalry. We had this amazing competition for the winner of the King of the Hill Match Race Championship. Saddleback was a practice track, and Danny Berserko Becker was definitely there. No one can forget the Ken Maley Ranch. It was an amazing little track off of Wyrick Road in Corona, California. It was a beautiful little track the size of Costa Mesa. All the riders, many of us have learned to ride there. There's Ken Maley, the hot shoe man, rest in peace. He had a speedway bike. He made a 4-valve speedway bike that really tried to take off. I think it never really took off, but its Still Shoes definitely was a hit. It was an amazing product by Ken Maley. He was the hot shoe man. He was just a good guy. And next we have a practice track, Lake Elsinore Speedway track at the Lake Elsinore Raceway. It was located in Lake Elsinore before the I-15 was made. And it was just a nice little track. It was the size of Costa Mesa, maybe a little bigger. We rode that thing every Saturday and practiced. And this is about the only footage I have of me riding the speedway bike. This is where I learned to get to Division I. It was a great track. Every Saturday and Sunday during the off season, I was at the Lake Elsinore Speedway. It was just a great practice track. A lot of good racers developed there, and it was just good. I had lots of fun. Some days I would just practice my starts. I'd do wheelies for fun. Just had a good time riding Speedway. That's what it's all about. Thanks for watching the Southern California Speedway tracks of the 70s. It was a great time. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this show. We appreciate you. We appreciate Speedway. We'll see you next time.